What's going on, guys? So I've had a couple people ask me about pay. I wasn't really going to discuss pay until I've had a couple weeks of uh, settlements come in and then compare and contrast. But I guess I can give an overall explanation of how pay works here. Hold on a minute. That's better. You can actually see me now. Sorry, the sun's coming right through this window. I have my curtain open. I'm doing a 34-hour reset right now, But so I figured I'd give, I guess, like a general description. I'll just use last week's settlement, just to kind of explain it. So, we get paid a set cents per mile, loaded and empty. There are variables that go into what it is, but there is like a set number, and then the variables. I'll break that down. So our empty cents per mile currently is $1.96 per mile. Now this is also end dump. It varies by fleet. End dump is the middle child. Hopper bottom is the bottom end, and pneumatic tank is the top pay. But this is just the overall breakdown for end dump. So the empty per mile is $1.96 per mile. Now that breaks down into a base rate of $1.17 per mile. On top of that, we get a mileage surcharge pay of 20 cents per mile. Don't ask me what that's for, because I forget. I just know that it's 20 cents per mile. We have our fuel surcharge, which is variable. That's why I say it's a variable. It's a set rate, but it's got variables. Currently, it goes off the national average. So currently we are at 34 cents per mile. 2 weeks ago we were at 38 cents per mile. So it just kind of goes up and down with fuel. Obviously, the more expensive fuel is, the higher our fuel surcharge, but the more money we're spending on fuel. So that's 34 cents per mile. Then we have our CSA pay, which is our kind of safety bonus, if you will. So when you come to Oakley, once they hire you, it does not matter how many CSA points you have. You zero out with Oakley. I'm not saying your CSA overall zeroes out, but your CSA to Oakley is zero. For as long as you remain at zero, you are paid an additional 25 cents per mile. After you get 1 point, I think it's 1 to 14 or 15. Bear with me, I'm having a hard time remember. I believe it drops down to 18 cents per mile. And then after that, it drops. It's after you get to the point that you'll lose your safety bonus. So that is one of the biggest variables. Then there is that's the breakdown of our empty pay. Now when it comes down to our loaded pay, our loaded cents per mile is currently $2.41. Of that, you have a base rate of $1.62 a mile, and then again our 34 cents fuel surcharge, the mileage surcharge again at 20 cents, and then our CSA of 25 cents, which brings you up to $2.41. Now again, that's all variable. So you'll be told a certain number and given a pamphlet that'll have a certain number. You just have to understand that your fuel surcharge plays a huge role in that, and then your CSA plays a huge role in it. So that's why you want to be proactive with adjusting your brakes in your truck and trailer. You want to be proactive with pre-trips, checking tires, checking for air leaks, light checks, you name it. You just want to be on top of your game and actually do your job as a truck driver and do a thorough pre-trip, because as long as you remain doing those thorough pre-trips, you'll keep your 25 cents a mile. Now on top of that, we have demurrage or detention, which is $100 an hour after 2 hours on average. We have a couple customers, or at least one that I know of, that if they do not immediately unload you when you get there, you are immediately on the detention clock. So hour one, you're $100. I was talking to a guy that said, it was actually my trainer. Shout out to Rico. He said that he had a buddy that was there for 34 hours. So he got paid $3,400 in detention. I mean, I don't like to sit more than the next guy, but if you're going to pay me $100 an hour for detention, yeah, I'm not complaining. Especially if I'm going to sit that long and make that much money. But, so we've got that. And then we've got recruiting cards is another way to make money. That's just where somebody reaches out to you. You speak with them, decide, these are a good candidate, you'd like to refer them, and then you forward an email or a phone call or whatever over to your recruiter, let your recruiter know, and then the recruiter will reach out and talk to that person directly. It's kind of our direct line of helping people get into here, because otherwise, if you submit an application, they get hundreds of applications a week. They're not bringing on hundreds of drivers a week. Sometimes it's 1 or 2 drivers. My class was huge. We had 8 guys in my class. It was supposed to be 12, but in general, there's a lot of people that never make it out of the pile. So if you reach out to us, you give me a chance, you talk to me before you apply to Oakley, and I send your information over, they talk to you. If they decide that you are a qualified candidate to work with Oakley, they'll give us an extra $200 on our paycheck per person for that. On top of that, we do get a referral bonus for people that do make it past that point and get hired on with Oakley. It's $2,500 after 30 days, and then another $25 after 60. So a grand total of $5,000 for referrals. I mean, let's be honest, I can refer 1,000 people till I'm blue in the face, but it takes somebody that's gonna have what it takes to make it to that point. So it helps to push recruiting, but also at a place like this, you want to make sure you're recruiting the right people that have what it takes to be able to hold up to this end of things. So that's how our pay breaks down as far as what we get paid for. Again, our empty cents per mile currently is $1.96, and our loaded cents per mile is $2.41. I know some people are going to bitch, and they're going to say, oh, $2.41 a mile, that's garbage, that's junk, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but you also are making almost $2 a mile empty. Go somewhere that you're hauling freight normally. You don't get paid for your empty miles. You only get paid for your loaded miles, so I don't really give a shit if you're making $75 a fucking mile. If you have to deadhead 600 miles, you're eating that 600 miles. Here, I deadheaded on my first day. I deadheaded 696 miles from Arkansas to Indiana. I got paid $2.02. Then it was $2.02 because of what the fuel surcharge was that week. I got paid $2.02 a mile to just drive empty, hauling sailboat fuel from Arkansas to Indiana. So do with that what you will. Now to our deductions. Deductions, we have fuel and DEF, which is always variable. We've got our base plate fee, which is $30 a week. We have our geotab, which is our for e-logs and whatnot. That's $24 a week. We have our non-trucking liability insurance, which I pay, which is $6.10 a week. We've got pre-pass, so if you elect to use the company's pre-pass, for those that don't know what pre-pass is for tools and also for scales. A very large portion of the country uses pre-pass. If you have pre-pass, they scan it whenever you're driving down the highway. There'll be 2 sensors, one that reads it, one that tells you to pull in or not. And sometimes you get lucky and it flashes green and beeps at you, and you're good to just keep on trucking while everybody else pulls into the weigh station. It's got me out of probably, in the last 2 weeks, probably 50 different weigh stations. I've only been pulled in once. So that's a $5.75 a week. We have our escrow. They have a $5,000 escrow account they want you to have for any accidents or damages done to the trailer that are your fault. Now, if it's something that's not your fault, you don't pay for it. But that escrow is $175 a week. After you reach the $5,000, if you come on with end dump, you have to get a PTO installed, a PTO and a wet line installed on your truck. That is an additional I believe, $205 a week, but you don't start paying that $205 a week until after you pay off the escrow. So that's kind of nice. They don't hit you with both at the same time. We have our occupational accident insurance. That is $43.90 a week. And then I have a voluntary escrow account that I put $150 a week into, just kind of for breakdowns, damages, anything along those lines. And you always have access to that. You do not have to get permission to use that account. All you have to do is call up the accounting office, call them, be like, hey, I need $500. They will go, like, I need $500 out of my voluntary escrow. They'll go, they will do an automatic transfer from your escrow account to your bank, and it usually happens the next day. So it may not be instant, but it's within 24 hours. And then just to kind of give you guys an example, I will give you last week's totals. So last week I did just over 3,075 miles. Of that, 2,218 miles were loaded and 857 miles were empty. And of that 857, that includes that 690 mile deadhead. So of that, I also had 3 referrals, not like full referrals, but recruiting card referrals. So those are $200 a piece. So if you take my empty and loaded miles plus those referrals, I made to the truck pre-deductions $7,655.22. After my deductions, I had a lot of fuel that I used that week. A lot. That was just because of my whole startup. Right off the rip, I had almost $600 in fuel. So that kind of set me back, and that was just because I got into a truck that was empty. So, because this truck was delivered by Arrow to Oakley before I ever drove it. So, and of course, when they delivered it, it was out of fuel and DEF. So, and I purchased that fuel the previous week. So because I purchased that fuel the previous week and I didn't have any load delivered that week, it just put me in the negative $586.72. So that then rolled over. So if you include the fuel and my regular deductions, so the fuel from the previous week and my regular deductions, I was at $1,987.25 for that normal deductions plus $586.72, which brought me up to like $2,500 or $2,600, I believe it was, or just shy of $2,600. So after those deductions, I walked home. My paycheck was $5,081.25. So now that was a very high mileage week. You're not always going to average 3,000 miles a week. Obviously, if you're out longer or you get the luck of the draw and you're on a really good run where they're dedicated doing a specific account, you're probably not going to get 3,000 miles every week. I'm not saying it's not possible. It is definitely possible. But just don't expect it. Our average from what I'm seeing is anywhere from 2,500 to 2,800 miles. So not far off. So, but yeah, that is pretty much a quick breakdown of pay. If you have any further questions, this is already a 14 minute long video. So I'm sorry for talking so damn much, and I'm sure nobody has probably stuck around this long. But if you have, thank you. Comment and let me know you did. And also, if you have any further questions, by all means, PM me. Let me know if you do PM me, because I don't always get notifications for it. It doesn't always go through. So if you private message me, just comment on my video. Let me know that you private messaged me. If I didn't get it, I will send you a follow. I will follow you. It may have to request to follow you. Once you follow me back and we're friends on TikTok or YouTube or whatever, I can then accept your message or just re-message you or whatever, and we can talk and we can figure this out. So yeah, any more questions, feel free to comment, PM me, whatever, and love to hear from you. Thank you guys, and hopefully this kind of helps you understand it a little better.